Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jennifer. I do hope that you stick around. So today we are going to be talking about my process of buying my first property. I bought this property I started the process in 2019. And last year I thought that I was gonna do a video. I thought that I was gonna be like, oh hi guys, I bought some property, and then come on here with like some keys and all the stuff, and then like do a house tour. And then I talked myself out of it almost every time. But then now I'm jumping the gun and I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I do think that it might be helpful to someone. Now this is not gonna be advice in terms of me telling you how to buy a property, but basically me sharing my story and my journey with hopes that it will inspire you to actually take that next step to actually purchase your first property, or basically just kind of be clued up of the things that you have to expect when it comes to buying your first property. I'm gonna go through points that I've written down here because I want to make sure that I touch on everything that I wanted to talk about, and also I think it will help me to keep this video short and straight to the point. So when did I know that I wanted to buy property? Remember the video that I did about me actually manifesting my dream life 5 years ago, and that is the journal that I wrote in 2016. In that journal I did write that I want to buy property by the age of 28, and by the age of 28 or 29, yeah, somewhere there I said I wanted to buy property by age of 20, and I did it. I got my first property by the age of 28. So basically I started the process in 2019. I started looking online, just looking at properties, what is available, where can I buy, also trying to understand the areas that I would want to buy. So now my property search was more so of the things that it will give me, you know, because now I have a child. At that time she was staying in KZN, but I wanted to bring her here. I wanted more so of a secure environment, and also that is closer to schools, and that's where I wanted. And so I started looking online, and at that time I had already moved from staying in town and I moved to Pretoria West, and where I was staying I was no longer sharing. Okay, first I started staying with someone, and then over time I realized that with my new job I can actually afford to stay alone, and so I decided to stay alone. And at that time I was paying about 4,000, and so I decided that, you know what, let me start looking. So I started looking. I looked online. That's the only place I looked at. I just looked online, private property, just to see what is available. And for me, the rates and levies were very important to see how much it is. So most of the places that I hear, the rates and levies are very expensive, and so I wanted something that was below 1,000 when it comes to rates and levies. And also the area, it had to have schools and also a daycare around, and also an area, the place that I wanted to buy in, I didn't want a standalone house. It's not safe. Pretoria is not safe. Actually, South Africa is just not safe. And for me to buy a standalone house, it was not a plan for me. It was not something that I even thought of. I wanted to be in a complex or in a security estate. And so I was looking in such places, and also I didn't want in a complex where there are too many people above me, because I didn't want a place that felt like Semafletin. And also I wanted a place that had a yard, a little bit of a yard, that had an area outside for us to just be able to go out, for my child to also go out and play, a place that is quiet and safe. You know, those are the things that I was also looking at. And so I was just looking online, and I remember I didn't go to view any of the places that I saw online until I saw this property that I'm in right now. So when I saw this property, I saw it around September. I liked it online, but I didn't come to see it. I looked at it and I was like, it looks nice. The price is good. The levies are really, really good. They're like less than 1,000, and the area looks like it's very good because there are a lot of schools around, and it's also close to a hospital. So I didn't act on it. I decided to pass it on. In November, I looked again, and then this property was still available, and there were more units. There were on sale during the time. But most of them, they're upstairs. They're not on the ground floor. But this property was on ground floor. And I was like, this property is still here. This is a sign. I have to go and view this property. Remember, I asked one of my colleagues to come with me because she has a property and she's also good with finances. I asked her to actually come with me. We came here, we viewed the property. I was just sold from the moment when we dropped off outside the gate. Just the peacefulness, the quietness in the streets, you know, the cleanliness of the streets. And then also when you get inside, there isn't any security. However, the place is clean, well maintained, you know, and very quiet. I was like, wow, okay, I was sold with that. That's the first thing. Then when we got in, it has a small yard outside, and the bedrooms were much bigger, especially my bedroom is much bigger than what I was used to where I was staying in Pretoria West. And you know, it had something that I can work with. And then yeah, so that is the property that I'm in right now. That's the property that I decided to buy. Actually, on that day when we saw the property, I looked at it, I talked to my partner about it, and you know what, I was just in love. I was in love with the property, and I did not go to view anything else. On that day, I actually put in an offer. On that day, I didn't do it on the spot because I remember Nicolette's video. I went home, she sent me the document, I read through it. I didn't just sign the offer to purchase like immediately there and there. She sent it to me, I looked at it, and then in the afternoon, I filled it in. And then my discussion with my partner was, I love this property, it is beautiful, it ticks the boxes of everything that I want. However, I don't want it at this price. And this property, when it was online, when the price that they were selling it at was 600,000. I negotiated, you know. So when I came in, I was like, when I look at this property, for me, it gives me the value of 530,000. So that is the offer that I put in. Instead of 600,000, I said 530. And so they came back, the sellers came back and said 530 is too low, 560 instead. I was like, no, 560 is too high. It's either 550 or I go. And then I waited. Now I'm like, okay, I really want this property. Yes, I'm saying 550, then I will go. But 560 was still not bad. But I didn't want to take the price that they wanted to give me, you know. And then 510, we settled on 550. Ne? Yeah, we settled on 550, and that is the price that I bought this property at. At that moment in time, I was so excited that they took my offer, and I was also proud of myself that, oh my God, I didn't buy this property at the price that they gave me, I bought it lower. Now, the reason why I was able to get away with that is because I learned before I actually went in and signed the offer to purchase that it was the buyer's market. Because it was a buyer's market, that means that I could negotiate the price that I wanted, you know, even if it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but then I could negotiate a better price for myself. But if it's the seller's market, that means that the seller gets to decide on the price. And as you come as a buyer, you really don't have enough room to negotiate a price with that buyer. And so because it was a buyer's market, I really was able to negotiate a lower price for this property. Even though I bought this property at 550, the value of this property is 600,000, because that is the price that's the price that the bank valued it at. But then I bought it lower. So already you see, I'm on a positive side when it comes to my property. There are certain steps that I took before I even started the process of buying this property. What I decided to do in 2019 was to finish off all my accounts. So I had an Edgar's account and a Mr. Price account. I decided to pay them off and actually close those accounts. And that's exactly what I did. I paid them off and I closed them. So you want to make sure that you have a good credit score. And I started monitoring my credit score. Like I was using credits. Is it credit? I've forgotten what platform that I was using, and I still use the same platform that analyzes all of the debts that you have. So I was tracking my credit score there, just making sure that everything was still cool. And by the time I was applying, my credit score was good, was on a green, and yeah. And then I applied for the property, and then when I applied for this property, FNB approved me, Nedbank approved me, and SA Home Loans approved me. But because I work for government, I knew for a fact that I was going to go with SA Home Loans, because when you go with SA Home Loans, when they, let's say for instance, they give you 10% interest rate, when you're working for government and they're going to take directly from your salary, they cut off 1%, so your interest rate becomes 9%, because that is the partnership that they have with government. And so I knew for a fact that I was going to go with SA Home Loans, and that is the bank that I went with. And that is because also it was the only institution that actually gave me a lowest interest rate. Now remember, when I applied, they said that my interest rate is going to be 9%. When they approved me, it was going to be 9%, which was still very good, guys. If you buy a property and it's below 10%, when they come back with the offer, you must know that that is very good. It's very good, because that means that also your credit score is good. So it came back below 10, and then the other banks came back with 11, 12, and I was like, I'm not going with that. So I went with SA Home Loans, and they said 10%, and then after they cut off 1%, it was going to be 9%. No, it was 9%, and then when they cut off, it was going to be 8%. Yes. And so I went with that option. That when I was looking for property, price for me was very important. So as I said, it was 600,000, and I calculated and I looked. I was like, I want this property to be, so when I pay for it, to be very close to what I'm paying currently when it comes to my rent. I don't want to feel like I'm upgrading in terms of the things that I have to pay for. And so the price, after everything, the money that I was paying for came down to something that is very close to what I was paying for where I was staying before, the price that I was paying for in a rental. Now, the reason why I decided to buy as well is because I figured that I could rent for my entire life and not worry about, a debt, But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is I will be paying for someone else's property, and I will be funding someone else's property. What about mine? Yes, I will not have a debt, but then what about an asset? I won't have an asset. I won't have anything under my name, And then also, if I start to buy property now, over time, by the time my child goes to varsity, I'll be almost done. And that's like in 20 something years, I'll be almost done with this property. So those are the things that I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking about, oh my God, if I buy property, now I'm going to have a debt. For me, it didn't make a difference when I was renting and when I was buying, because at the end of the day, it's either I rent for the rest of my life or I buy, and then the money that I was supposed to be paying for rent now goes towards my bond. It goes towards my property, and then I know that I'm paying for what. Like, I know that I'm paying for this property. Now, this is not my forever home. However, it's something that I knew that it's a good investment for me. So that is why I was happy that it's around schools. I was happy that it's close to a private hospital, because it's an area that you won't struggle for people to rent. And one thing I noticed also after staying here is that the units, when people move out, those who are renting, does not stay over a month before someone comes in there and rents in that place. So, and also the people that do stay, most of them, they stay for a very long time here. And so that is a good thing for me. That is a plus sign for me, because it says a lot about the property. I want to talk about transfer cost. Yes, the word transfer cost, I had to pay transfer cost. The credit card that I have right now that I'm trying to finish this year, I actually used the money on that credit card to pay for the lawyers, because I had not saved. Remember, for me, buying this property was something that was very spontaneous. It wasn't like carefully planned. Like, I didn't start the year saying, this year is the year that I'm gonna buy a property. But 5 years ago, I manifested it within my life that by age of 29, I'll be a property owner. And yes, by age of 29, I am a property owner. If you work for government and you are not a homeowner yet, you haven't owned any property, or there isn't a property that is written under your name, I would advise you to go to HR so that you can apply for that government housing something, where they save money for you every month. I think it's about 1,400, if not 1,200. 1,400. They save that money for you every month. By the time you buy property, you provide all the documentation that this property now is yours, then they're gonna pay you that that money. I remember I received a lot of money from that payout, and that's how I was able to also attack my debt that I was talking about in one of my videos, that I paid over 100,000 of personal loan. I took some of that money, a big chunk of that money, because that money was over 20,000 that I got, and I had only saved for like 2 years, 2.5 years. Yeah, 2.5 years in that thing, and I was able to come out with 20 something thousand that was just saved for me over time. So I would advise you that go to your HR within your department and apply for the thing. The sooner the better. And if you apply for it, I would advise you that just take a break from looking at property. Don't buy a property unless you have saved for a year, because you want your money to be, ibonakale most. Because after you have bought your property, yes, that money is going to come to you directly now. They're not going to save it for you. It's going to come through your salary. It's going to be your money, but you want that chunk of money to come in so you can decide whether you renovate your house and do all that other stuff. And also, if you are not working for government and you are not a property owner as yet, and you want to be a property owner, when you apply for property and you do everything, there is a program called Flips. Make sure that you file your application with Flips, and depending on your property and also on your salary, they will give you a certain amount of money that will go towards your bond, and it will help to decrease isikweletu sebond yakho. So you don't I'm sharing these things with you because I know that they're beneficial. So there's one when you are working for government, and there's another one where you don't have to work for government. You can be working in a private sector, you can be working in a shop, but then if you earn a certain salary, so the less that you earn, the more money you get. The more that you earn, the less money that you get in terms of being subsidized. Now, I didn't qualify for that because I already work for government. But then if you don't work for government, and if you don't already qualify for this program that I got, where government employees get, you can apply for Flips. Please take advantage of Flips, because that is our tax money. That is our money that is allocated on the program every year. So you need to take advantage of that. If you know someone who's trying to apply for a bond right now and is in a process, they must also apply for Flips. So I think I touched on everything that I wanted to talk about on this video, and I hope that you guys also found some good valuable points. So that is all that I wanted to talk to you about. Yes, I am a property owner, and I was a property owner from age of 28. Now I'm going to be turning 30. Yes, I've been in this property for a while now before I even came here and announced that I'm a property owner. And that is because I was just second guessing myself for a very long time, and I also didn't want to come here when everything is fresh and new and say I'm a property owner. I just don't feel like I have to announce every new thing in my life here online. Like, sometimes you must digest things, let them soak in, for a very long time before you start announcing it to people that you are this, you are that, you just bought this, you just did that. Sometimes you have to move in silence, and then it was a background. Anyway, until I see you on the next video, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. With that being said, please take care and stay safe. Bye.